Hello there, and it's me again, it's Matt, the Amber Valley Poet. I'm going to be reading a few poems today, 3 on this particular video, so do stay with me. Also, when you are on my YouTube page, if you would subscribe to the channel, give me a like and also spread the word and share so I can get my poetry out to more people. That would be fantastic. When I say subscribe, it's not anything that's charged. It's just a case of clicking and you'll get updates when I next pop some poetry on. So if you're enjoying it, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. So my first poem today is one around the topic of vulnerability. And it's something that we hear a lot about in the modern age. But something that I've heard over the years doing my advocacy and volunteering work around mental health and different places I've worked in, is this question that I sometimes hear of: are they vulnerable enough? And I just think, what a strange question. There's no enough about it, surely. That narrative to me is all wrong. And therefore, this poem is literally called, Are They Vulnerable Enough? Are they vulnerable enough, we ask, as if they're the measure, a daunting task. But in truth, the question should be, are they vulnerable at all? Can we see? Behind the smiles, the laughter, the grace, lies a story, a hidden place, where fear resides and tears may fall. Do we notice? Do we call? It's not about the depth or the show, but the simple act of letting go, to see the crack, the tender spots, to understand the battles fought. For vulnerability is not a scale, it's a courage to unveil the heart's true face without disguise, to share the pain, the lows and the highs. So let's not judge how much they share, but cherish the moment that they dare to open up, to let us in. That is where true connection begins. Are they vulnerable enough, we ponder? But let's shift our gaze, let's wander to the essence of being seen, because in their vulnerability they glean. Thank you. And I do think it really is a very interesting and sort of point, but you know, we really don't need to ask, are they vulnerable enough? We need to be looking at vulnerability in different ways. Anyway, so that's that one. And now, in the words of Monty Python, now for something completely different. And I want to read to you a couple of poems about the recent full moon, which was called the Beaver Moon. And the first poem I wrote in relation to this after the event on, I think it was November the 5th. I wrote this on November the 6th. I can't remember which day it was, so apologies. And this is called Beaver Moon Rising. In hush of frost and leafless bough, the river sleeps beneath the plough. Yet through the still November air, a silver pulse begins to flare. The beaver moon, with ancient grace, unfolds her light across the space. Where shadows held the world in thrall, she rises slow, but she rises tall. Her face is worn with cratered years, yet soft she glows and calms our fears. She threads the dark with threads of white, a loom of peace, a gift of night. No trumpet sounds, no banners fly, but hearts look up and spirits try to dream again, to mend, to build. By moonlight, even silence is filled. She does not speak, but still she shows that even coldest seasons close with light enough to guide the way, a better world, a kinder day. So let her flow, serene and wide, across the sky, the turning tide. For in her rise the dark is stirred, and hope, like moonlight, finds its word. I've always been fascinated by the night sky, taking photographs, not necessarily the best, but taking photographs, and the moon just always seems such a beautiful thing. And for me, it does represent hope in a certain way. And if you've listened, read, or seen me perform any of my poetry, then you'll know that hope is something that I think is very important to everybody, and particularly when we look at one of the other topics I often talk about in relation to mental health and mental wellness, that having hope is really quite important. So, on to the next one. This one again, I tried with this one to try and be a little bit more connected about the sea. I did mention tides in the last one, but to actually talk about the link between the moon and the sea. And this one is called Moon of the Tides. They say the moon was once a weaver, spinning silver thread through ether, binding sea to sky and fate to foam, a quiet hand that guides us home. The beaver moon in frost-bound light wears ancient names and antlered light. She stirs the tide in dreaming bays and wakes the deep in hidden ways. Old sailors swore she knew their names, that moonlight whispered through the frames of boats long wrecked, yet still they rise in stories told beneath her eyes. She pulls the sea, she pulls the soul, a rhythm older than control. Each wave that breaks, each heart that bends, is part of what the moon intends. For life, like tide, will ebb and swell. We lose, we drift, we rise, we dwell. And in the dark, when hope feels thin, she climbs the sky and calls us in. No storm can shake her silver thread, no grief unmoor the path she's led. She shines for those who build and mend, a sign that night is not the end. So let her rise, the moon of law, and flood our hearts from shore to shore. For in her light the old truths gleam, that life is tide, and tide is dream. So those were a couple of the poems that I wrote in relation to the moon. So we've looked a little bit at vulnerability. We've looked at hope today in relation to the moon. So I hope you enjoyed those poems today. All of them recent. All of them will be going into my poetry book number 3. I do have 2 already, and I'll try and leave a link in the comments if you want to have a look at books 1 and 2. I think since I wrote those and self-published them, my poetry definitely changed and developed, hopefully for the better. But it's good to look back and learn. And as I said at the beginning, if you're enjoying my poems and you like watching these videos, which I hope you do, please do share, get the word out there. Most importantly at all, I need as many people as possible to hit that subscribe button. So this has been Matt Jarvis, the Amber Valley Poet, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.